Hi, everybody. I have just had a major false start, which is always great for starting a podcast. And I'll tell you something, you can false start in a podcast, but there's one place that you cannot false start, and that is on a sales page. Because if you false start on a sales page, people are going to bounce off like a boomerang, but they're never going to come back. They're never going to want to be with you. And I'm also going to say, guys, that I just used an Australian idea or metaphor to explain this, like a simile. And I want to say that was magic of me. And I'm not talking myself up, but you know, we've got an Australian guest today, so we need to make sure we keep the Australianisms going in there. All right, welcome to Confident Content, the podcast that helps small business owners just like you master their marketing with clarity and confidence. I'm Rachel Klaver. I'm a content marketing coach and strategist, and I believe that great marketing isn't all about just that doing and everything like that. It's about how to do it well. So that's what we're here about. Today we're going to dive into a topic that some people freak out, and I will be honest, I have been a content writer in some shape or form for over 20 years, and when I come down to sales pages, even though I cut my teeth on them years ago when everything used to be highlighted yellow and looked like a very long Reader's Digest sales thing, I still freak out about sales pages. They can make you feel like breaking out in a cold sweat. It's very common. Most of us associate sales pages with pushy, over-the-top tactics, those ones that go on for 75,000 words. You thought, well, I could have got an Audible book for shorter time than this. But the truth is that when you do it well, it creates a beautiful, honored, structured path to you and that customer to come together. So today, to help us demystify the sales pages, I am joined by Angela Pickett, who I know first and foremost from LinkedIn, but I also know her because she's part of a group. She's part of DMC, which I'm not part of it with Kate Toon, but she's also part of that group. So I've seen a lot of her talking in ages and ages. So I'm very excited. And she's an experienced and highly approachable sales page and website copywriter. And I'm just going to say, we're going to try not to get segued into this because I could so easily become distracted, but she's also spent 15 years working as a diplomat in Australia, China, and Vietnam. And apparently, it makes sense, diplomatic skills and sales writing skills are very similar because it's clear communication, attention to detail, and that ability to connect with people. So now she helps business owners, government organizations, and not-for-profits craft their compelling copy that actually works. So we're going to start talking. I've got a bunch of questions, but before we do that, Angela, I've just done like a very loose level kind of introduction about you. Do you want to tell everyone a little about yourself and fill in the blanks of where you did it? Oh, and welcome to the show. Sorry, ADHD rudeness.
Thank you. Thanks, Rachel. This is really cool. And lovely intro, by the way. That was absolutely perfect. And I love some of the comments that you made about sales pages because that's exactly how I felt. Yeah, I fell into copywriting. As you said, I was a diplomat for the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade for 15 years. I had posting in Beijing in the early 2000s, in my 20s, which was absolutely incredible. And then cool. I came back to Australia, worked on a lot of free trade agreements and negotiations with the US, with Chile, all sorts of really interesting things. And then by the time I was then married and had two little kids, well, actually one was a baby, we decided to go to Vietnam, to Hanoi for what was in the end my final posting. And wow. I had a bit of a light bulb moment while I was there and decided that as much as I loved my career, I wanted to just do something else. I wanted to see what else was out there. So we moved to the beautiful Barossa Valley wine country in South Australia. My husband's always worked in the wine industry, and I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something different. It took me a long time to realize I wanted to work for myself, but now that I do, sort of 10 years on, can't imagine not doing that. And I tried a few things. I worked for a winemaker, I ran a consultancy, and I fell into copywriting when I wrote a blog about my son's teeth being photoshopped in a school photo, and it went viral. And I noticed all these news articles like taking big chunks of my copy, and I was like, well, hang on a minute. If they think it's good enough to just regurgitate, maybe I should actually get paid for this. So I sort of tried some feature writing and then came across copywriting, which was just such a perfect thing for me. And at first, like a lot of business owners, I suffered with a bit of that imposter syndrome, like who was I to be a copywriter, until I realised that I'd probably spent most of my career in foreign affairs and trade writing content in some form or another. And yeah, I eventually found sales pages, which, as you mentioned, I thought they were sleazy. I thought they were tricky. I thought they were the sort of things that tried to sort of fool people into buying things they didn't want. And when I realized that wasn't the case and that they actually are a real conversation with a client and answering questions, and there's a process to them and a structure which I really love. So yeah.
I love this because I love structure. Like, I think to become really good at something, you've got to start with something that's quite formulaic. Like, so obviously as an experienced person for you, if you're writing something, I'm sure that you can push boundaries and push what you're doing. But all of us, when we're learning, we need a really quite strict structure that we can then play with, but you need to know the structure for you to be able to play with it afterwards. And I'm doing a podcast coming out around cognitive dissonance, and it was really interesting talking a little bit about how there's good and bad cognitive dissonance. But one of them is that you don't want to make it too far away from what people are used to. So people have an idea of what they're going to experience on a website. And if you try and be too clever, it hurts our brain.
Yeah.
And then you can't work. So you need a structure.
Yeah. And it's a logic. And the reason the structure is there is it's sort of working through that logical process of how someone is approaching, I guess, whatever it is that you're selling, what they need to know and, where they're starting with. And then you're taking them on that journey through it and you're having that conversation and you're answering their questions. And I think that for me is the biggest one, that a really good sales page isn't trying to convince someone to buy something they don't need, which I think is that impression. Yeah. It's actually just reinforcing for them that this is the right thing that I do need. And I think that's when I kind of had that light bulb moment. And I think the other thing I found really useful is I've just been working with a client who is starting something new and starting a new course. And we worked through my sales page template together. And for her, it was a really good way to actually make sure she ticked all the boxes.
Yeah.
Because I find that sometimes when people are starting out, they've got this great idea and the sales page is almost like a checklist to go, have I got everything I need in this? And am I able to answer every question that my clients are likely to come up with or my potential?
It's like a validation almost, like a validation of finding that, I call it that anal butthole finder thing, where you're basically finding all the little tiny areas that someone's going to go, and you're answering those problems.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I think and if you can't answer some of those, then it might be a case of going, well, are you really ready to start to launch this course or this membership, or, is there something missing from your service? And sometimes it's there. It just works as that checklist to fill it out and go, okay, this is everything I need to know. And I guess the other thing I love about sales pages is they grow with you. You might feel like if you're launching something, they start off and you're like, I haven't got enough results or I haven't got enough testimonials, but you can keep adding to that and building on it and tweaking it, and I guess it's like any copy. I'm a big believer in, it's not written in stone. We don't get our websites written or write our content and then, like any content, it's not set and forget. We have to keep, it evolves, and you think of, and obviously once you've written something, it's always when you come up with another great idea that,
exactly.
And you need to be able to go and work on that and update that and evolve.
Yeah, or if you find that you're getting the same question over and over again and it's an objection in your sales meetings, you go, I need to put something in there on my sales page to remove that objection early. And I haven't got this on my list of questions, but I'm going to talk about it with you now because it's one of my bugbear. I'm hoping we're going to be on the same page. Otherwise, we're going to have a bit of an argument. But that's okay. We can do that. But where do you sit as a general rule about having pricing on a sales page as opposed to not having pricing on a sales page?
I want to see sales. I want to see pricing.
Okay, cool. Because I was worried you're going to say no. Because I've been looking for a business coach, and one of them so many of them drive me nuts because the only way you can find out the price is to meet with them. And I'm like, look, I have a budget in mind. I think you're valuable, but everyone has a budget. But also I want to go, and when I'm meeting with you, go, is that where I see the value of you? I don't want to be sprung with that. I want to know what it is. And I also think it means that if it's really high and I'm not sitting in that space, I go, oh, no, you're not the right one. And if it's really low, which has also happened, I'm like, no, you're not the level. It helps me work out where my position is and whether I'm with you.
Exactly. I think there's so many reasons. I think the no site, there's a few things that really give me the ick and make me give sales pages a really bad name. And I think no pricing is one of them. That whole being led through, as you say, that 75,000 words, and then you've still got to book a call. That just makes me uncomfortable because I just don't know what I'm in for. And I appreciate not every service is going to be able to have a clear price on it, but at least, and I guess one of the things that for me has come from this is, as a service provider, doing sales pages, is I'm a big fan of packaging services. And it doesn't mean that's the only thing that you offer, but it at least gives people, as you say, that ballpark. Are you the right person for me?
Yeah.
And you're not wasting their time and you're not wasting your time because, if you are really expensive, why do you want to waste your time on discovery calls with someone that is not going to be able to afford you? It's crazy. And I think if you don't feel confident putting your prices on, I just think, I don't know, that speaks to something else that makes me really uncomfortable.
It makes me feel like you don't trust your marketing to reflect who you are, which means, have you got an idea of what your message is? If you need to make that person to try and do some sort of manipulative conviction thing with them in that process, what's missing from that and the marketing? Because the marketing should be, my whole thing, which I think you and I are going to agree, is I teach this concept of a sticky web. And I'm basically like, by the time they get to the decision hub, which is where they come and contact you, they come in hot because they know who you are. They trust you. They get your voice. They know your weird quirks and they fit that. Yeah, those are the ones I like. They're not the weird ones I don't like. And they know the pricing. So when they come in, it's just basically that meeting is really what I call a diagnose and prescribe meeting, not I need to find out about you, because all that stuff's already been done. And I feel like it's a thing where they don't actually trust any of their marketing, including their sales page, to do that for them.
And there's always that argument, I don't want my competitors to see my pricing. Well, that to me also says, what does that say about your confidence around your pricing? So I think it's really important. One of the things that I say to people as well, and I've had this conversation within the digital marketing collective that I'm part of, with people saying, one of the things that I got, and I wrote a blog about this recently when I packaged my services, was it took away that imposter syndrome, querying myself, because if I then got an inquiry, I wasn't the one telling them the price. The price is on my website. Yeah. So even though I can vary it, so whether it's my website copy packages or whether it's a sales page, the price is really clear there. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be just that and we can't move around. Not every website is going to fall into the 3, 5 and 10 page that I've got there. But it gives people that ballpark. And I like what you said about it's not just about, is someone too expensive for me? It's someone's too cheap for me. Like, I want someone that is...
You need to know the one that's a fit, right?
And at the right level. And again, I think it is one of those things... And, when we talk about some of those things that give sales pages a bad name, that's obviously one of them. And, the fake countdown clocks and all of those things. And I think we all hate them and we don't like them and they make us feel yuck. But the other thing is now, and that I think is a really interesting thing that's evolving, is that a lot of places, a lot of jurisdictions are starting to make those sorts of behaviours illegal. So whether they call them dark patterns or
commerce, right?
deceptive design or whatever, those are things that I think if you can be on the front foot and get rid of them and be really confident with your pricing and your inclusions, and, you know, your early bird is really your early bird, or there really are only 12 places, you'll be on the front foot when some of these rules really do come in and they start, you know, and people, I think there's a lot more discussion around that, and people are becoming more aware of it. And so they will switch off. So
I love that. There's a few things I was, because I've never done any of that stuff. So I'm loving that it's more real, because I've never wanted to do that. And sometimes it's hard, I think, when you decide you're going to just do it the way you're doing it. I feel like you're doing it authentically. And it's still easy to get FOMO when you see people do it a lot more. I still think it can be very persuasive marketing to do a good sales page. But when you see some of those tactics, it's kind of like everyone using ChatGPT for sales pages, because it makes them feel like the big words, you know, make things better. I think when you see it on other people's pages, it can give you a FOMO, and you start to second guess your own style, your own words, your own way of wanting to be a business. And I think that's where it can get a bit stuck.
Yeah, and it comes back to what you were saying. It's about that it's building that connection. And again, it's not, and I think I said this at the start, it's not selling something to someone they don't want.
No, I love that.
We're not doing that. Like, we're not convincing them that they need something. And we've got someone who we're really clear. We're starting off the sales page with, we understand the problem that they've got, and we're making it really clear. And we're just simply saying, I've got the solution. And then being able to go through the page and drill down into that a little bit more and say, and really work on that pain point, you know, or that promise. I mean, sometimes they don't have to be. So one of my favourite sales pages I've done is for a subscription box for an interior design homeware subscription box. And it's probably, and I mean, I have to say the client did the most amazing job with her design on it as well. And that's my other big thing, is the design is just as important as the words. But, you know, it's giving them a promise, and it's following through on that at each step. So, yeah, I think it is really, really, you know, it's really important to have that.
But you're tight on time and budget. In just 2 days, I can help you create a marketing strategy and an action plan that has everything mapped out for you for the following year in every area of the marketing. Plus, we'll have gone deep into who your target audience is, what your offer is, and all those other important things you need to know to get that marketing right. How are we going to do that? Well, you can come along and be part of the Map It Marketing Intensive. It's with a small group of like-minded business owners. We're running them across New Zealand in different areas, and I'd love you to be part of it. Plus, this is an approved program through the Regional Business Fund, so funding may be available to help you attend. Bonus, if you want to plan, if you want to have something that's highly practical, I'd love you to join me, Rachel Klaver, on the Map It Marketing Intensive. See you there.
Because one of the things I was listening to the thing around, you know, that you have to think that people are going to want to be there. Because I teach that with email, because people are often like, well, I don't want to, and I'm saying, look, they've chosen to be on your email list, so assume they want to be right. And so I teach, and I'm just going to go, I want to do this now when I'm talking to people about sales pages. It's almost like you've got to say, before you even think about what's going to be on that sales page, you have to get yourself in a mindset of going, I am going to assume that everyone that comes to this page already loves me, and all they're doing is checking if I'm the right fit for right now. If you wrote with a feeling of people love me, and people are going to love me and love what I do and love the price and love everything, it would totally change the way you wrote about it.
Yeah. It's coming from that, I guess, that position of, and I've now lost the word for it, but it's not that scarcity.
It's abundance. Like it's just abundance, like, but it's not. Yeah, it's like I just got to show up here and show you all the cool shit I'm doing, and tell it to you in a way that you get it, so that I don't have to to work too hard to work it out. And you're going to love me. I don't know why you wouldn't love me. And if you don't, what are you doing here? Let's get you out of here. Like, it's kind of like that, as opposed to, please stay here, please read everything. That's the mindset, eh? That's what we're wanting to do with our sales pages.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the thing is, it's not a single thing on it. Obviously, you've got to have that good funnel. You've got to have that set of emails.
Everything else going on.
Certainly that's something that Elise and I come up with when we've done some projects together, it's all very well to come up with this great sales page, but you've got to have thought through, like,
Yes.
it's fine you've built your course, but please think about how you're actually getting people there in the first place.
But let's be honest, Angela, like you and I in this game, and we find this hard. Like I just cancelled a bunch of events that I was running this year early on because I realized that they all take as much energy to run as all the others, and they're not repeated ones. And I was like, I forgot about having to market these things. I still have to write the email sequences, and I forgot. And I was like, I just don't have the headspace. I'm cancelling. I'm just going to focus on the things I do. Because even us that are in this space all the time, we forget so often that it's not just about having the great idea in the sales page. It's about thinking about how it fits into the entire ecosystem of your marketing and making sure that you make that sales page work by getting enough people to it.
Yeah.
It's annoying. Damn annoying. Okay, so let's talk about what a sales page really is and what it's not. Like, what are we saying a sales page is? Like, where is it always on a website?
I think it's generally on a website or a platform, you know, and it depends.
Like a Eventbrite or...
Yeah, it depends what you're using, I guess. I think what differentiates it from a standard website page is we've got one simple goal, and that is for the person on that page to make a decision at the end. And whether that's they're buying straight away or they're booking that call. Now, you know, not every process, for example, in every option is going to be something that people can just click on and buy. There might need to be that pre-qualification interview. I know a good friend of mine, Narissa, who's a medical copywriter, she's got sales pages for all of her copywriting packages, but she still needs them to sign a proposal because she's got some pretty specific terms and conditions. Probably the difference is you're not bouncing them off. It's not just information, and you're not leading them off to other bits of your website.
It's just
all the way through. So we're not taking them anywhere else. We're not letting anyone get distracted. You know, and in this day and age, that's kind of what we need, is that single focus. And that's all we're not trying to talk about all the other things we do. And it can be really tempting. I think you can see sometimes with sales pages, it's like, oh, but if you don't want this, I've also got this. And you've almost got to have that confidence to just go, you know what, if they don't want this, they're going to find that other thing I've got.
I love this because I also think a lot of people do it because they've heard somewhere that you need to link to other pages, and they don't realize that the sales page is not the page that you're linking to other pages. You want other pages to link to the sales page, but not the other way around.
Yeah, it's like one of my other, and this is a bit of a side thing, but it's like my other thing about I hate websites that have those social media galleries in them that people can then click.
That was the point, right?
Off your website.
Take them away. Yeah, those are coming to the website. Okay, so I'm going to go on offshoot. Mine is having an email that just has links back to the blog. These people are on your email list. They don't need your blog anymore. Put the content you want to put in your blog if you've got it. The only purpose of an email is to kind of be like the sales page to get someone to buy from you or reply from you. That's it. Okay, that's my little rant. But because I'm so with this, we are so on the same page. Okay, so that's what it's focused on. So it's really linear. It's like, so if you had I'll take me. Welcome to me. So I've got like one-on-one coaching. I've got my group coaching, and then I've got my one-on-one strategy coaching, one-on-one. I've got group coaching, and then I've got a couple of day events. So I've basically done a sales page for each one of those as an option. So I haven't gone, here's all the stuff. I've got one that's kind of a page of here's my services, but those are all individual. That's what you mean by a sales page. You go, here is the offer.
Yeah, so we go on your website, and if people want to have a look at mine, I've got a services page that I essentially call my services landing page.
Yes.
Because sometimes people want to go, well, I don't know what I need. I want to see what sort of things she offers. Like, do I need a sales page? Do I need a website? Do I want to start with an audit? So that's all there. And then each of those pages, each of those services goes off to its own. And on those pages, that is where it is. I'm not taking them back when they get to the end and going, yeah, maybe this wasn't the one. I kind of don't care. They're going to find that way back to that. They'll go back, but they know that if they can click on it and go, oh, no, that wasn't right. Now I've got the details not right. I'll go back. No, I'll go back. And they might go to each one, but they're then filtering, and you're making it easy for them to have all the information they need on that page. Yeah. And I mean, essentially, the difference, I guess, with a sales page say, a standard website page is it's probably just, it's just got some standard information, and it's very, I guess it's much more informational as opposed to a sales page that is really going through their problem and the solution that you offer.
Yeah.
So again, it's starting off really strong with, I know you've got a problem, I know it's this, and I've got the solution. Then you're really deep diving into what it is you're offering, all the benefits, the features, the real detail of it, the proof, which I still think lots of this proof and a lot of this stuff, you might get to it and go, well, I don't really need a sales page, but there's so many elements of sales pages that we should be putting even if we've got a service page that isn't perhaps as detailed. And then it's that action to buy and that clear, as we said, that clear pricing and those clear inclusions. So don't write lots of templates.
No.
Write 47 templates. If you've only got 3, write 3 templates.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing with that in pricing, and this goes back a bit to our earlier conversation, is when you're putting your pricing up, be real about it. And unless you have some of those other things on your website for sale as standalone things, I think sometimes putting pricing on them and saying, you get all of this, that's worth this.
I know.
But it's only
Oh my
this,
God.
because
oh my God. Sorry, you just hit such a big trigger for me.
if it's genuine,
You know, go, value $2,500 for this crappy ebook that I made with AI.
but why, if it is that, why are you giving it to me for less?
Yeah.
Unless I can see that, yes, they're bonuses. And I think that's where if you've got them already on, so whether they sit as standalone services and you're adding those in, or, there's a template that you sell as a separate thing, but you're giving them that.
Then it's different.
By all means do that. But I think this putting sort of fake, to me, that doesn't say, I don't feel like I'm getting a bargain with that. And I'll tell you, I am a discount shopper from way back.
Me too. Secondhand top right now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm so with you with this, but I smell a rat. Every time I do it, I go, I don't trust you. When it becomes too big, I don't trust you anymore about it.
Well, it's that too good. That too good to be true thing.
Yeah.
And again,
then it goes, it's the real stuff you're giving me good then. If you, that's what I mean. Like if you've got to pad it out with a whole lot of fake stuff, what is it that I'm actually getting here?
Yeah. And so, that's the thing. And that's where, it's like, I don't need lots and lots of something. Maybe I just need one thing, or I need to know, I don't necessarily need to talk to you every day, but I need to know I'm going to get, X. And I think that's where this comes back to really using the sales page as an opportunity to really drill down into what you're offering, to be able to go, yes, I know I'm offering 12 group coaching calls.
Yeah.
I'm offering 1 60-minute one-on-one session.
Yeah.
I have 3, detailed templates that you're getting, whatever it is, but be really, I think the more genuine you can be.
Precise. Yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
The more likely you are to connect with people and sell. I just think this idea that, you've got to trick them is, again, comes back to what gives them a bad name.
So I've got a couple of things I want to ask you. So the first one is, I'm going to tell you what the second one is that we both remember. The second one's going to be about how many call to actions and what that looks like on a page. Because we might have different views. I'm not going to have a fight with you about, because I think we have to, but I'll be interesting to see what you say. But one of the things I was thinking about was that you talked about features and benefits. Like obviously I know the difference between those two things. I know the difference. And I also know that when I'm writing for a client, I can really focus on benefits. But I think when you're writing for yourself, and I'm wondering if you've experienced this as well, it's so easy to slide into features over benefits. Yeah. Like I was selling a course for a while that was like a do your own marketing strategy course, and it came full of stuff. And I realized I was turning people off because I said it had 239 videos in it, which is a specific feature. Yeah. But you imagine doing a course and now you're signing up for 239 videos. That's bloody terrifying.
Yes.
Like, no, I was going, why is no one doing this? And then when I changed it to a step-by-step through short videos course, the enrollments came in.
Exactly. And I guess that's the other thing is obviously the other thing that sales pages do really well.
Yes.
Is they can give us really good analytics. We can use things like Hotjar to actually work out where they leave the page.
Boy, so hell no. Yeah,
239 videos. We go, maybe that's not right. Or we use the feedback, obviously, we have when people have been in touch, have been on our list. Why didn't you sign up for this last offering? Well, I saw the 239 videos.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, no.
So,
yeah.
Look, I find the features and benefits thing, I must admit, every time I do it, I have to think really carefully and think about what they are, because I must admit that sometimes I can get a little bit confused by that.
So let's just break it down for people who don't understand it, even though we both struggle. I think everyone does, because our fallback is always like, features are really easy to explain. You know, when you say there's a number, or when you say like the value, those are easy things. But benefits is outcomes, right? So features is what we provide. Benefits are outcomes. So should we try and do this with something? Can we think of a topic and we'll try and work out a feature or a benefit for it?
I don't know. I think I want the marketing coach to work this.
Okay. So let's think about a sales page. Okay. So like a feature might be that it has, that I will help you do, I'm going to make out how many sections. I'll help define for you the 8 different sections that you need in a sales page. So that's a feature, right? A benefit would be, I'm going to teach you how to convert through the, how to understand what each part, why you need each part of a sales page. That's a benefit, that's a feature.
Yeah.
So one is, this is that you have 8, the other one is why you need it. I think that's it.
I think that's it.
That's it, yeah.
And look, it can be one of those things that you just go, have I actually got, am I right on that? Like, what is it? And I'll often say, I guess, on that first page in terms of the, when I'm looking at the products, sometimes it's, I'll go back to first I might look at the, how does it work? And I guess that's the other thing I like. Because there are sections to it and there's the structure, that you can then go, I'll fill in the gaps and I'll really work out what I'm clear on and what I'm not clear on in this case. So that's where, being able to go, what are my inclusions? What's the process? And that's the other thing I really like, is being able to step someone through what this looks like. And sometimes then that will help you kind of come back to going
and work it out.
Yes.
So we're going to actually look at that key element. So like the kind of the step, like just the breakdown of it, the groups you've got. But can we just talk about call to action? So we talked about how, you have the call to action. Obviously, we're always going to have one at the bottom. But do you recommend having them through the page as well?
Yeah, ideally you want one at the end of every section.
Yeah.
And this is where having a really good developer and someone who knows what they're doing with sales pages, because ideally what we want, and particularly if it's a longer page where we need more than one pricing panel, each call to action should actually take you down to that final, like whether they click first way through when they go, yep, I like the process, I want to join it now.
It just scrolls them down.
It takes them straight down to that final pricing panel. And on that final pricing panel, that call to action is your booking or your pay now.
Answer, that's genius. I love that. You have taught me something today. I love that. I want to stop here because this is all I need to know.
But I think that's there's too many calls to action. But my other thing with calls to action is keep them consistent. And from a design perspective, keep them in the same colour with a really clear button, with a really clear same words. So it becomes that visual cue to take you through where you're actually going.
Because the way I see it is it's kind of like you're looping them round, and they start out big and then they like further out, and every time they loop around they get to the call to action button and they go, not quite ready to doing that, and they go, and then it's almost like a computer game where you go, you have reached level 1. Now it's level 2, and you kind of like take them to each level through until they basically press the action button, which means they've got to be.
Yeah, and the chances are someone might, even if someone absolutely loves you, they mightn't buy from you the first time.
No.
You know,
insulting.
Sorry. But it's true. They might have to. And so that final one, I mean, I have a call to action button in my header because it may be that they've done their research, they've looked at someone else, they've read your page a couple of times. And another way to look at it is, have you given them all the information if they needed to justify that expense?
True.
You know, within a family, whether it's the partner that's going to go, can we afford to make this investment in our business? Or is it your boss that you're like, I want to do this training course and I need to justify. And so it's basically equipping them. If they had to put it to someone else, can they answer all of those questions that someone's going to ask? But then they don't have to. And I think that's what annoys people. And people say, sales pages are too long. I just had to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. Well, you shouldn't have to.
No, you shouldn't have to.
It should be a point where you're actually walking through and you want to see and you're very clear on what each section is.
Yeah.
And then it's only that you see that you click on you can click on a call to action at any point if you know what you're ready to do.
I really like that you've got one on the banner because we always do that with our homepage too, because quite often if someone's coming to our homepage, we know historically that if they know us, they just want to get in touch with us. So by putting it in there, I call it like you have Big W and we have Kmart as well. But I'm going to use Kmart as an example because it's both New Zealand and Australia. But like Kmart, you can go into Kmart knowing what you're going to buy and come out, $300 later and nothing that you had on your list was there. You get distracted and you leave and you've gone through that. I don't know in Australia if it's the same, but in New Zealand, our Kmart checkouts are in the middle of Kmart. Like it used to be that way.
They have, but I noticed they've started moving them because I think people.
Well, they didn't used to be that way, and then they made them that way.
They're moving them back to the front.
Thank God, because there is nothing more rage-inducing than having to have done the fucking snake line all the way around, do that, get out of Kmart, and then go, bloody hell, I forgot that one thing, and they're like how am I going back into there and doing that snaky line again? And I think that's what sales pages can be like, because if you don't give them the option before they get distracted to take that thing, if they are ready, if they're in that 1 to 3% that are ready right away, you've lost them. And so I do love that you've got that in there too, because I agree, having it high up as your first call to action, that's not too early because they might have already known about you. Yeah. So I love
I think that's where really thinking about it as building blocks, again, is a really easy way, whether you're building it for yourself or whether you're working with a copywriter to build a sales page. It gives you sort of, I guess, that structure to almost, as I said, that checklist of have I answered all of these questions? But also then those blocks become design elements that basically they take them on a journey and it's just pleasing to the eye. And I know, when Elise and I are talking about them, sometimes we'll talk about the fact it's the reason you're using different icons. And it's not necessarily, I've seen some sales pages where they'll just use the one icon for everything. Like it might be their logo. And it's like, no, that's not the idea. We just want a visual cue because someone might go, I just need to go back and look at that section. And it was the section that had the images of what's included. And it's just, I guess that's where it is such a, yes, copy and the words are important, but it's how we present that copy that's just as important.
Okay, so let's break it down because I want to make sure we've also got some time for you to introduce, say what you're doing with Elise too, that you just quite slipped that in. So we'll talk about that later. So, what are the key elements or key stages of a sales page?
Yep. So if we work through, so I think I said before, we start off, we've got a problem, they've got a problem, and we know we're really being really clear and we're really agitating. And let's think about it from that, because I think sometimes it's easier when we're looking at it from that problem. And it's that classic copywriting formula of problem, agitate, solution. Yeah. And as I said, it can be. So for an example, one of the ones that I worked on, one of my clients works in aged care. And one of her examples, so I have our first one we use on her, she's got a membership to help people navigate the aged care system. And so it was just struggling to navigate the aged care system. And then you go through and you talk a bit more about what that means. And then it's as simple as I can help. But then as we go through the page, we're going to get bit further down, we're going to talk about some specifics of that. So that front one, we want a really good headline and a really good image. And I think if it's you providing the service, a really good photo of you as the coach or the membership provider or whatever, or the service provider, is really valuable. But don't try and write the headline at the beginning. It will kill you. You'll never get anything written. You'll get stuck.
That's horrendous. It's the worst part.
So I always leave that one to the end, because sometimes it will just come out in that conversation. We've already talked about, obviously, that consistent call to action. Search engine optimization is still important. So obviously, in this case, we're only worrying about one really good keyword, but doing our research and really understanding what it is, not just what we think so not necessarily what our course is called, because that might mean nothing, but really what our ideal client is likely to be searching for. I love a video particularly, and I say this with she who hasn't recorded her videos to put back on her page but tells everyone else to do it. Because, again, we're just being real and we're connecting with people, and we want them to see that they like our, as one of my good friends called it, our weird brilliance. We want to include that scarcity and the urgency, but only if it's real.
Yeah.
If you've got unlimited spots, if it's an evergreen course, just don't mention it. On mine, I basically put, obviously, things like my sales page packages. They're available all year. But the reality is I probably can only do 2 to 3 a month. So I will put that. That's as far as I can go. I can't put a countdown clock. I'm not.
Yeah, I put a wait list. I'll say for my one-on-one work, I'll say majority of the time my wait list is at least 8 to 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Sometimes longer. So if you're wanting something and you've got a time frame, take your time now to check that I've got capacity. Because I think that's fair. Like, I can't say, I've only got 3 more spots this year, because at the moment I have more than that. But, it doesn't work. So I agree with you. Like, it's giving an understanding of capacity, I guess, as well as anything else.
Yeah, and it's being really upfront. And so people know. And so if they do know that, oh, well, so, there is a wait list, or, she's only, like for me, I'm only doing a couple a month. Oh, well, I've got a course that's launching. And the other thing is I try and be really upfront in terms of as well how long these things take.
Yeah.
So if you're
launching in August,
launching a course in May, you're probably not going to leave it till, April to just get on and go, I'll book my sales page.
But let's be honest. Now. They do.
And sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it works.
But quite often it's not. Yeah, I know. So it is an interesting thing. Yeah. So I love that. So we've got kind of that breakdown, like the scarcity, and then is there anything else we need to think about?
So that's pretty much, we get to that first. So that's what I call our problem and our solution. So that's that block, I guess. And then we go into, because we've said to them, I've got the solution for you. So now we're actually going to go in and talk about what that is. And that's when we'll talk about what the key features of it are. We'll talk, one thing I should say in that first bit, if you've got a really long sales page, this goes back to what we were talking about with the call to action, put a navigation menu so that people can find their way. So you'll find that probably they just want to come back and double check, what was that pricing again? Or what does it include, so that they don't necessarily have to scroll all the way through, that if it is a longer page, or if they just want to check out who is it for them, then we can make it easier for them.
So basically they can kind of like click and not just go to that part of the page. Yeah.
And again, this is where sometimes being aware of, I guess, what you're building your sales page in, and whether you can do it, and making sure you've got a developer who really understands it, and being able to say to them, I want to be able to put navigation in the page. If I know my sales page is going to be really long. If it's not super long, then maybe it's not as important. But if it's going to be a really long one, again, let's make it easy.
Let's put the chapters in.
Yeah. Let's make it easy. It becomes a website. It almost becomes a website.
Yeah, it does become like a website. Yeah, I've got a couple of clients who are photographers, and that's how they do theirs, is their offer page is like a little mini website. There's tabs for like pricing and for the shoot types and all those things, because they do actually need to have quite a lot of information on those sales pages. So I have seen that done really, really well. And it's interesting because I've never thought about seeing it outside that space. So loving that.
And so
great.
That can work really, really well. So then we get to, as I said, talking about our product or our service. So we're talking about the features, talking about how it works. So, for example, on my website copywriting packages, I go through exactly, we have the initial call. You sign the proposal. We do this. We do the first draft. We do the second draft. And just really being really clear with them how it works. Or, if it's a course, what they're going to get in each week of the course.
Yeah.
And not necessarily that we're doing 237 videos. That's when we talk about
more just that whole, it's terrifying. But it's more just giving them a visual picture of what to expect. So when they're signing up, they've committed to that space.
Yeah, and they know what it gives them confidence that everything's included, that is going to be included, but also that they know it's the right time for them. So they know if it is an expectation that it's 6 weeks of 1 hour group coaching calls on a Tuesday, and they go, I've got something on. Maybe then it's not the right time for them.
That's actually a great point. I'm going to change that on my page to make that happen. So I think that's awesome.
And then we talked about, we've talked about our big pain point that we started with, but then we want to drill down into it. So I used the aged care example. So then we put some more specifics. So, are you exhausted by all the family tension and conflict? Are you overwhelmed by too much information? So we're just pushing on that a bit. And that's probably the one bit that is, people might say, well, that's kind of dodgy. You're playing with people's emotions, but again, it's kind of what we're we want to get an emotional. We want to get an emotional response for them. We want them to be able to say, "Oh, yes, that's me. I can see myself." And
I don't think it's manipulative. I think it's helping them kind of check, because if they go no, they know it's not right. Yeah. So it's really just for them to help sense check and kind of work out how it would work. Yeah.
The other thing that I think I talked about, what's included. So that really short description and that icon. So not loads and loads of copy again. And this is just, again, giving the eye a break and letting their brains kind of take it all in, that we will have some. So when we do those pain points, I like to put an image on one side and pain point on the other side and then swap it around. So it's giving the brain a little bit of movement. The other thing I really like with sales pages, and I think this is one of the things that really, sold them for me, was being able to be really clear on who it's for and who it's not for. Yeah. Except, obviously, lose the passive aggressive. We don't want to annoy people if we're sort of trying to be rude about it.
No.
Then we go into part 3, which to me is the most important, but I understand when you're starting out or if it's a new thing, it can be a bit overwhelming because it's the proof. But I think this is one that can grow as you develop your offer. And if it is new, we'll talk about previous clients and get them to give you testimonials about what it's like working with you or, your expertise, and use those things. And then it's all the things that we love, like logos and awards and written and video testimonials. And then as you go through, really great case studies or results. So whether it's a screenshot of someone's, views on their website increasing or something like that. Then we want to give them a guarantee, whether it's a money back or something like that. And again, it's just, we want them to feel confident that they're purchasing. We don't want people handing over their money feeling bad, or feeling like they're missing out on something. And then finally, our last section is that action to buy. And then again, that's that pricing that we've already talked about, being really specific, providing lots of options, being really clear on what your payments. So depending on where you are in the world, what payment plans do you have? What items do you take? I mean, I use Stripe, so I take credit cards. So I just have little credit card icons there.
Nice.
Make sure it's really clear what the currency is. And if you've got people from different currencies, if you can have one of those currency plugins that works so people can see what it is. Obviously, for us in Australia, we need to actually have GST included, and so I make sure that that's really clear, because obviously if I was selling to someone outside Australia, I wouldn't charge them that. Put some bonuses, like if you've got sometimes I'll work it out with clients. I was like, well, can we take something out that looks a little bit extra and we'll just make that, so it's a little bit of a bonus. It's a bit cheeky, but it's it's also just saying, here's something extra. It's not essential for what you're delivering, but it's something that you can give them extra. I'm big on including all the fine print. FAQs are really, really important as well. So
I like FAQs.
Really running nose. And that picture of the future.
It's releasing the toxins of bad sales pages internationally.
That's what it is. And I like a permission statement. So, if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? What's going to feel like to keep feeling like this? But imagine if you could feel like, imagine if you could have, a sales page that actually sells, your course, and you can, I think I've got something like replace the sound of crickets with the ping of PayPal or something fun like that.
Beautiful.
So, and then, as I said, we have that final call to action. So, again, there's a structure. And sometimes, you might look at it and go, we need to move it around. But there's a reason that you take them through.
Because it's taking kind of like the objections or the spaces off from the highest right down to the nitty-gritty.
So those, and I think that's where some of those sales pages where it's like you're not repeating the same thing over and over. And I think there's some of those where people say it's too long. It's because
repetitive.
They've just kept repeating the same thing, or they've just kept throwing testimonials. I don't want to see those throughout the page. I want to see them in a spot where I can go back and look at, who has worked, who has said this was the right thing. What did they say about it? I don't want to see it throughout. Those testimonials come at the point they come at because they're reinforcing. I've already made the
you said already.
Yeah, I've made the decision that this is the thing that's going to that's going to solve my problem. It includes the things I think. I like the look of the process. Then I just want some reinforcement that it works. And that's why that section is there before I then go and look at the pricing.
Well, this has been amazing. I think I'm going to ask you to try. We might try and get you back on later on the air because I've got some other things I want to ask you, but we can't do the whole afternoon because I love this. You've actually challenged me on a couple of things where I've gone, I've triggered a little bit and gone, I think I need to do something in there, like the guarantee. I am happy to guarantee my work, but I don't have that anywhere on my sales pages. I think I should put that there. And I loved the breakdown, and I could see the journey, and I think it will help people even listening back. If you're listening back, go and look at your sales pages. Just listen to that bit where Angela's walking through it and go, am I missing something here? What am I missing from what Angela said? Because that's going to give you a highlight of why it might not be converting, I think, as well. We could talk for ages, and that was awesome. But we've both got things to do, Angela. Do you want to talk? Just quickly tell us about what you're planning to do with Elise, because you've got something exciting happening coming up.
We do. So Elise Doyle is a fabulous website developer and designer. She's one of those unicorns who is both a graphic designer but also very, very technically savvy. So we've done some sales pages together, and we actually have a website that's called Sales Page Rescue. So salespagerescue.com.au, and we're running an online workshop on the 18th of March, which is 10 a.m. Sydney time. I'll let you, I think it's still summertime, so people can work that out.
It'll be 12 o'clock here, so that's great. It'll be 12 o'clock here.
And we will go through all those things. It's 90 minutes. We're going to take you through, I guess, step by step. We've also developed a template/workbook that actually works through and will help you answer all of those questions that you can go through to actually help you build and put together all the copy for your sales page. But you'll also have Elise's design smarts being shared as well.
Just checking my calendar to see if I've got some time available that day if I'm booked out, because that sounds amazing. I love the sound of that. Yes, no, I can do that before I do my coaching program. I can totally do that. Coaching clients, we're going to be running a little bit late that day because I'll be busy learning, but they'll love it. And I might get you to come and do some work with my coaching clients actually this year. So you're amazing, Angela. What I love is I liked you already, and I liked all the stuff you were saying, and I liked your niche, but now I just think you're fucking good. I can tell by the way you've talked about the stuff, you actually know what you're talking about, and bloody hell. People would be lucky to have you doing the copy.
Thanks.
It sounds great. So bloody, has anyone ever said to you? Bloody hell, people would be happy to have you before.
I love it. Sounds like something my dad would have said.
Okay, now I feel old, but that's okay.
No, that's just a genuine, look, I think it's just something that, It's very nice.
There we go.
It's a lovely way to finish the week.
Thank you so much for coming and being part of Confident Content. And please do make sure you give me the link to that so we can put it on. And it's been a real pleasure to have you on the show. I've really appreciated it.
Definitely. And I mean, obviously, people can find me on LinkedIn or all of those places if they want to find out a little bit more and connect and have
that website was it called Sales Page?
So the website for the Sales Page Rescue is
salespagerescue.com.au.
Yep. Otherwise, it's just angelapickett.com.au. And I've also got a 3 Ps to a perfect sales page when they sign up on my website.
Amazing. Right, guys, get in amongst and do that. And I'll make sure there's a link to their masterclass or training or workshop, whatever we're calling it, in the show notes so you can get a part of that as well. Thank you.
Thank you.